Our next panel, and this one is a very impressive one because this panel shows us the fruit of our labors, or of our labor, right? So it shows us the future, okay? Now this one is, what is the end game? And we're meeting homeschool graduates. I'm gonna stand to the side just a little bit so that you can see our panelists. One of the things that I think is so important, and you'll hear this as we talk a little bit about each of these panelists, is the fact that homeschooling allows our students, our kiddos, to explore their unique passions and interests. And it also keeps them from kind of going into a box that says, you have to go this route, you have to do this thing. It allows our kiddos to be multi-passionate. It allows them to be, because they are already multi-talented, and it allows them to be interested in a number of different things, not just one thing. It's not like, I don't know if any of you guys went to like a very large high school. I went to a very large high school that said, you get to play one sport and that's it. So it doesn't matter if you're good at volleyball and basketball, pick one. No, that's not how we operate in homeschooling. And so I'm excited to introduce these students to you so that you can see kind of what this is going to look like in the very near future for many of us. I'm going to start with, as we know, Jamie Grace. How amazing was Jamie Grace, by the way, this morning? Yes. I was telling her backstage, praise and worship is always one of my favorite things. It sets the tone, it sets a good moment for the day, and so we appreciate you bringing us in and starting our day off so well. So we're going to hear from her, and as you remember, you probably remember, Jamie Grace was a homeschooled kiddo, and she is now homeschooling. So we've got, it's full circle for Jamie Grace. Here, the gentleman, I'm gonna step to the side just a little bit, Yasudo Shaw. Shaw, as you may remember, is the last name of Michelle Shaw, who has been a huge part of putting this event on. And so, again, fruit of her labor, right? So Yasudo has not only one degree, but 2 degrees, both from Dartmouth and from Northwestern's Kellogg School of Business. And he is now a technical product manager at LinkedIn and lives in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, or close to it, right? Yeah. So we get a chance to meet with him in just a moment, but he's also passionate about a number of other things. It's not just tech. So a movie watcher, a salsa dancer, a civic leader, and serving as president of his college alumni association. So again, multi-talented, multi-passionate. Tamara Henderson is here with the animals. Yes, the bird is supposed to be on stage. The bird is with Tamara. What is the bird's name? Freya. Freya is on stage with us. She is going to make herself known. So Tamara Henderson is not only a U.S. Marine, but also a firefighter and an EMT and a scuba diver. Right? Round of applause for all of those things. Absolutely. But what you may see here is her love for wildlife. So Tamara's, has anybody seen the table out there with the vendors with all of the exotic animals? Did anybody get a chance to see that? That is courtesy of Tamara. So, Tamara created the Enchanted Immersive Zoological Center, and it offers interactive animal education for all ages. And I can already tell you, my girls from last year remembered Tamara's booth, and my husband was holding a snake, and I don't know how I feel about that. But nonetheless, all of those exotic animals are out there, and so make sure that you stop by and see her table as well. And last but not least, I want to introduce, I'm going to get to the other side so they can see Adrianna. I practiced so hard, Adrianna. I wanted to make sure that I said her name correctly. Adrianna Cauthen is a student at Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. Did I say that correctly? Écoust? Yes. Okay. She has over 12 years of baking experience, including work with crumble cookies. Anybody familiar with crumble? Yes, yes, yes. And also California Pizza Kitchen. Her creations have impressed clients like former Lithonia Mayor Deborah Jackson, and have won her recognition in Taste of Home. And one of the things that I was talking to Adrianna about is, what is your go-to? What is your signature dish? She gave me two that really excited me. The first, red velvet cupcakes, right? And the second, now this is really exciting to me, homemade cinnamon rolls. And you said during the fall that they tend to just fly off? Yes, yes, absolutely. So Adrianna actually, what's the name of your business again?
Cauthen Confections.
Cauthen
Confections.
Cauthen Confections is the name of Adrianna's business, and you will see her pop up at area farmers markets and things like that around Atlanta, so make sure that you check her out as well and get some of those cinnamon rolls, right? So I'm gonna hand it over to LaNissir James, who, she already told you she is a homeschool mom of 7, but she has graduated 2 already, is that correct? Yes, 4. Oh, excuse me, 4. It's just the 2 that are in college now. Okay, 2 have graduated from college, yes. So LaNissir is gonna walk us through this all-important conversation, and like I said, LaNissir has both homeschoolers at home, but then she has also graduated some, so who better than to guide this conversation? And I'll let you guys take it away.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes? I just asked that question so you guys would say something. Let me hear it again. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Today we're going to talk about a really important topic. I think it's easy to start homeschooling, but it really takes a special mama to have those late nights where you're thinking, what's the end game, right? What's the end game? And I always love that whole begin with the end in mind. And today I have a really great panel. Elon already introduced you to them, and I'm gonna have them introduce themselves to you. And what I love about homeschooling is that when we have these great opportunities to kind of get a glimpse of how we're gonna finish what we started, it gives us hope. My story is really simple. When I joined homeschooling, my husband was reluctant. He said, is this legal? We went from spending $20,000 in private education to $500 in books. So he wanted to know if this was legal, and that is where we got connected to HSLDA. Because he was in law enforcement, 33 years, major narcotics, and he's like, listen, don't have the police at my door. Talking about you homeschooling, right? And that's where it starts. But then, after you start, you're just, I don't know, put your hand up if you're kind of reluctant homeschooler, you're taking 1 year at a time. Where am I? There you go. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's kind of how my homeschool went initially. And I really believe that most people feel like they're smarter than a 5th grader, but when high school starts, it's a whole nother game. Am I right? You really start questioning yourself. And so one of my roles at HSLDA is a high school educational specialist, and really just getting a chance to curate content onto our website so that you too can homeschool through high school. And so without further ado, I really want to get a chance to ask you some questions about how you kind of got started. And I really want to ask you something unique. And each of you guys are going to say your name, tell us a little bit about your homeschool journey and how you got started. But I want to hear about your biggest concern when you first started homeschooling. When I say you, I mean your mama, your daddy. They said, you're going to homeschool. What was the first thing that came across your mind? Would you like to go first? Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Tamara Henderson. I was a baby. I was really young. I started homeschooling in 3rd grade. So I don't really remember what my feelings were. I know that I got in trouble a lot because I couldn't stop talking in class. So I'm sure I was probably happy, or yeah, I'm sure I was happy to be home with, because I have 2 brothers. I have a twin brother and I have a younger brother, and my mom. So I'm sure I was fine because I started so young.
Yes, sometime when they're younger, right? Would you agree? When they're younger, the transition to starting homeschooling can be a little easier, right? Because there's not so much to say, right? Although that you can't guarantee that for every 3rd grader, right?
Yeah, cannot guarantee, yes.
I love it. Okay, well, I'm going to come back around to you. So what were you thinking when your mom said, you're going to homeschool Jamie?
Yeah, so quite similarly, I was 3, so I don't really remember, and my sister's 2 years older, so I just kind of, I'm very much obsessed with my sister, so I was like, well, she read, I read. But we tried public school, we tried private school. My mom was very supportive. I was like, I really feel like I can do it. I would try it for a little bit, or the goal was to try it for the school year, but it just didn't last. The one time I tried public school and the 3 times I tried private school, it just either my health or just other things. And so my mom, I don't remember homeschooling from the beginning. Like I said, I was 3, but I remember her saying, well, we can go back to homeschool. And every time she said that, I was very much relieved. There was one particular time where I was sad because the very specific friends that I had made at that private school, I was sad to leave them. But I mean, very happy to report one of those friends was in my wedding, so I kept in touch. But so that was like, yeah. So that was the difficult thing. It wasn't so much like, oh, I'm gonna miss my social life, as much as it was the specific friends from that social life. But I mean, I don't know anybody that sacrifices like homeschool moms. So she was like, okay, driving Alpharetta for a play date. Okay, girl, that's what we gonna have to do. So yeah, it was tough, but we made it work.
I love it. We're definitely going to talk about the socialization question, because that always, I mean, you can't homeschool for more than 10 minutes before somebody's asking you, right? About socialization. I don't know if I mentioned, I'm the homeschool mom of 7, and 4 of them have graduated from my homeschool already, and they survived, yay. All 4 of them off to college, and out of the 4, 2 have already finished college, and I currently have a junior at the University of Maryland, and I have a freshman at Liberty University. And then at home, never a dull moment, I have my 11th grader, my 8th grader, and my 3rd grader. So I do know how the 3rd grader kind of goes with the flow, happy to be with the family, long as they can get with their friends and all that good stuff. But let's keep going around this group. Tell us a little bit about what you were thinking. Or have you homeschooled the whole time?
Yeah, good question. So I never stepped foot in school for a single day. I was homeschooled from pre-K all the way through high school. I never actually tried public school or private school, which honestly, I think for me, there was definitely a period in middle school and early in high school when I was fearing that I was missing out on the socialization. I think that was the big thing. I was like, well, it seems, I'm watching movies, reading books, everyone's talking about their friends in school, and I don't have those friends to see daily. But I did actually grew up with these 2 especially. We were some close in age. I knew Adrianna too, though I'm a little bit older. But I had friends. I did have friends, and I have friends that I keep in touch with, again, to this day, several in my wedding too. And so it's kind of funny, because I think as a kid, it was I was worried that I didn't have enough friends or like enough socialization, but the opportunities were very much there through the different clubs and extracurriculars, and even the once a week classes that I took. And then actually I feel like now as an adult, I realize there are a lot of negatives to the bullying in school and being made to feel like you're not like living up to a certain standard of whatever the culture is at the time. So I feel like as a kid, I didn't see some of the negatives that could have come from being in school, and I wasn't fully aware of the positives of the community that I did have. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, but I think, again, academically it worked out really well for me, and so very grateful for it now.
I love that. And we have to kind of chat about that whole fallacy that kids have friends just because they're in school. Just because you're around 2,000 kids doesn't mean you have friends, right? You're just around people. So what I love about homeschooling, and it'll be almost 20 years for us, is that we get a chance to have, to curate real friends relationships. Does that make sense? It's kind of like your social media. When somebody jumps on and they say that they're your friend. Well, they're not really your friend, right? But they are. They know of you. But your real friends are the people who you get a chance to spend time with and build relationship with. And how many of you guys know that you probably have enough friends you can count on one hand, right? You hear that saying. And so I think that that's important for us to consider. You don't have to be around 2,000 people, right, to have friends. In fact, you can kind of curate even better relationships when you have people who you are like-minded with in homeschooling, and that's what I love about it. So we want to hear from you. Tell us your name and tell us What were you thinking when your parents decided to homeschool you?
Well, my name is Adrianna Cauthen, and I was also homeschooled the entire way through from kindergarten to my senior year of high school. And for the most part, I really enjoyed my experience. I did go through maybe a short phase when I was in like late elementary school, early middle school, when felt like I was missing out on something, or like I saw all of these, you know, how school is glamorized and portrayed in school, on TV and in books and stuff. But I realized that, you know, I really learned to embrace my unique experience, and I've realized that you don't have to be, like, have a large group of friends to have meaningful relationships, and that most people, even when they're around a lot of people, they really only have a few close friends anyway.
Yeah, it's true. So we've been talking about that transition of homeschooling. Most of you have homeschooled. What do you think, and Yusef, you brought it up. You said, hey, I thought I was missing. What did you think you were missing? I'm going to kind of go in the circle in the same order. What did you think you were missing? Think about being back in elementary, middle, high school years. What did you think you were missing?
And it's really crazy that you asked that question, because when as a child, and specifically a teenager, we grew up watching television. And so I honestly thought that I was missing the hallway locker type of friendship. I wanted to go to public school because I wanted a locker, because I knew that I was missing lockers, I was missing all the things that happened in the hallways, but I never thought I was missing anything else. Like we were never in the house. We were always in somebody else's house. We were always at libraries. We were always going on field trips. I mean, you name it, we did it. So I never thought I was missing any friends. Like, it's like family. We all grew up together.
It's always something quirky, right? For my kid, she was just like, Ma, I just want to see the inside of the school bus. I said, let's go check it out. She's like, oh, okay, that's all to it? I was like, yeah. You know, so I think sometimes we're afraid to ask that question. You know, what do you think you're missing? And what I love about homeschooling, I mean, just look around. We have the ability to set up any kind of opportunity we feel like our kids need. You want to see a prom. You want to do a graduation. You want to, you know, we could do all of that. All of that still can be created in a homeschooling environment. But I think as parents, if we get courageous enough to ask some of those questions, it will help you homeschool through high school, which is always my goal for you. So Jamie, what did you think you were missing?
Yeah, I really craved the predictability of school. I liked the schedules. I just liked the patterns. Again, that autism diagnosis did show up in the last few years, so it all makes sense now. But yeah, I just once I got to college, I kind of got what I was missing, if you will, because I was like, oh yeah, I get the schedule and the teachers and the emails. I wanted to email somebody so bad. They're just like, please.
You can email your mama.
I know, I started to.
Email mama.
Listen. But yeah, once I hit like middle school though, and I started realizing like the spontaneousness of homeschool was what made my education so rich. I was okay with missing the predictability of traditional school, if you will. There's something else I was thinking of, and it's definitely danced away from my brain at this point. But yeah, just the concept of patterns and, like I said, emails and the principal's office. I know it sounds so weird, but I was like, I just want to get in trouble one good time. Just have to go sit in there, plead my case. But yeah.
I love that. And it's always something quirky. How about you?
It's so dumb.
That is so funny. Yes, Yasudo. Yes, no problem. I'll be honest, I felt like I was missing the opportunity to date while I was in homeschooling through high school. I was a teenage boy, and I was sitting at home with my family most days. And I was like, why am I not around girls that I could date? And that was definitely a tough reality as a kid. But you actually mentioned a prom. They started doing a prom, I think, about the year before a year that I graduated. I got to ask a girl to the prom, so I did get to have that experience. And then I dated in college, and now I'm happily married for 5 years. So, so it was a little later than some kids start dating in that sense, but you know, everyone has their opinion on when people should start dating or not, and it ended up being fine. But honestly, that was the biggest issue in my mind when I was a teenage boy.
Love it. I love it. These are some secret files of teenagers, right? How about you? What did you think you were missing?
I really thought that I was missing out on some kind of special shared cultural experience that would tie me to everyone else in the world. And as I got older, I realized that I really actually didn't miss out on anything. I got to go to prom. I got to have teachers and classes. I got to have the hallway experience. It was just the hallway experience in, the church at LAC where they taught the homeschool classes, just not in a school. I even got to have a boyfriend, and a lot of my friends who went to public school never dated anyone in high school. So I actually did not miss anything. I just thought that I was missing something just because I wasn't in a literal school building.
I love that. I love that. And so these are just good thoughts about, I think as parents, finding the right words to say to your teen and hear their concerns. And sometimes, modeling for them opportunities, right? Go find a locker. Let's go find a school bus and a locker. Whatever it is. And also having some experiences. Like some of you said you went to school and learned that was something you didn't want to do. So let's just kind of jumpstart to the end game. Can I just talk to you a little bit about it? So I want to find out what happened at the end. Most of you sound like you made it through high school. You homeschooled through high school, so your parents were smarter than a fifth grader, right? And then what happened? Tell me about the launch.
So I dual enrolled my senior year, which I think most of us may have done. And I actually went to, oh no? Okay.
The non-musicians, probably.
And then I actually went to college for a year. And thinking back, I don't even think I really wanted to go to college, but it's what you do. You graduate high school when you go to college, right? And I went, and I didn't party or anything, but I stayed in my room. Classes bored me. I hated being in the four walls. I just hated it. And I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to do that. So I think the hardest part for me was learning and that it's okay to be different. And I was able to go back home to my parents. They opened arms, no problems at all. And I sat down with them and we really talked about what was my passion. And we went ahead. We're homeschoolers, okay? So we know how to put plans in place and bullet points. And then we had to figure out, well, what are the steps needed to get to where you are now? And funny enough, the reason why I'm a firefighter now isn't necessarily because I said, I want to be a firefighter all my life. That wasn't why. I was able to work 24 hours and off 48 hours. So those 2 days, I was able to focus on my passion, but still have a career and still have a full-time job. And then after that, I became a Marine for my other reason why I became a Marine. But everything that I've done has led me here, and I honestly had to learn, and I think, of course, Yesuto can also understand my vision in this, is that I always felt like I was behind. Because I wasn't in college, I didn't have a house, I didn't have a degree, and as you grow up, you have your friends who seem to be doing better than you, and I'm sitting here like, wow, I'm 29 now, but I'm 29 years old, and I don't have anything to show for it. And so younger me would have never seen me here now. I was a lifeguard for a long time, and that's really what I was doing. I was lifeguarding, and that doesn't really pay the bills, and that's not a full-time career. And so that's something that I think parents and students and kids need to realize, is that you're on your own time. Just make sure you have a plan. If you have a plan and you're going towards your plan, then everything else will fall into place.
I love that. And we have to not forget about the relationship in homeschooling, right? I think one of the people asked me, what do you love most about having all your teens at home, right? What could be good about that? I will tell you the relationships. I love how you said, you came back to your mom and said that's not what you wanted to do.
Yes.
And
open arms, yes.
Yeah, and there was the open arms. And I think that more important than math and more important than the history lesson is building the relationship with this teen who will soon be a young adult, right? Or this, elementary school, and really wanted to be able to shepherd that relationship, right? Like later. So I love that about my older students, watching them grow up and actually seeing them now as young adults, and I still like them. How about that? They're so precious. So I'm glad you shared that. So tell us, just fast forward us. Tell us What was your end game?
Yeah. So I ended up graduating high school at 16. I started kindergarten at 3, and so I didn't do dual enrollment in an educational sense, but I started my career when I was like 14. I use the word career loosely. I would go and like sing and play guitar at Starbucks with my guitar case open and get like $30, so it's hard to be rich, but it is what it is. And so I started doing that in like high school. And as Yesuto pointed out, we were in some of the same co-ops, on occasion, and so that was just kind of crazy because they're like babies, but now they're adults, and I'm so proud. Sorry. Okay, so I was like always. I don't know if y'all ever had to do this, sorry, but like I was always writing musicals in high school and then being like, hey, will you come be in my musical? Like putting it on YouTube and stuff. So I started doing that at like 13 or 14 years old. So by the time I graduated high school at 16, I essentially had like a freelance job in media or singing, if you will. And then I went to college. I went to Point University. It used to be called Atlanta Christian College, and I have my bachelor's in child and youth development with a focus on children's ministry. College was all of the above. It was, honestly, I loved it a lot. It was awesome from a social perspective. It was only 40 minutes away from my parents, so I still got to go to church every weekend, which was crucial to me. I signed on as the kids pastor at my church, and I did that, I guess full-time kind of. It was a missionary church, so it wasn't like a job, but I got to serve there. So right out of high school, kids pastor, leader, and that kind of thing, and college, and then my singing job became full-time halfway through college. So I shouldn't say this in this room. I did enough to graduate. Like I still did my homework, you know what I mean? But like I did kind of get to a point where I was like, hey, I can either like get an A on this paper and finish this song, or I could be proud of this song and get a C on this paper. So yeah, right? These do get degrees. # biology. So sorry about that. I know that's offensive to some people, but I powered through college. I got really good grades in all my classes about Jesus. And psychology, just science and math, no thank you. It's just not my strength, and that's okay. And honestly, I really struggled with that because most of my homeschool friends excelled in science and math. And Yesu's older brother and I were the same age. And and those were conversations that Chinua and I had regularly. He'd be like, I'm just reading this book for fun and I'm over here painting a guitar. And so I struggled with that for a long time, but none of my peers made me feel insecure. That was my own insecurity. But college was so great because I found a million electives. I found all of these new ways to sing at open mics and to join student government and find my place, if you will. And so I got my degree, and like I said, my music became full-time by the time I was 19. And and now I'm not good at ending sentences, so I just moved the microphone. So.
And she's just fine, isn't she?
Not Lori.
Fine. How about you?
Yes, yeah. So yes, I was good at science and math. Turns out, though, I didn't actually love those particular subjects. So I went to Dartmouth for my undergrad, and I studied psychology. It's kind of interesting you guys mentioned that because both of my brothers ended up becoming software engineers. They studied computer science. But my dad's a software engineer or computer science professor. But for me, I studied psychology because I just loved the topic. I loved people. I loved understanding how people think. And I had no idea what I was going to do with it. And that was okay, I think. I knew there were various opportunities that I could pursue with it, and I would figure it out. And that did end up working out. So I studied psychology. Then in probably about my junior year, I started finding out about strategy consulting, business strategy, corporate strategy, which I didn't even know that was a career path growing up. But a lot of my peers had friends or family members who were in that field. So I realized that was something I was interested in too. Had the opportunity to do an internship in marketing, and then kind of found my way onto the corporate ladder, I guess you could say. So now I've spent the past 10 years working in various, I guess, large corporations doing business strategy and analytics. Went back to business school, or went back to school to get my MBA, and then transitioned into tech. And so now I work with software engineers, but actually I focus on understanding customers and figuring out what features they want in the product. And my role is called a product manager. And it's basically the, honestly, psychology, customer understanding side of tech, where you don't just build the most advanced thing, you have to build something that someone wants. So I've realized that I could actually apply my interests in this area that I thought I wasn't actually as interested in, which was the science and math side of things. I still don't do the deep science and math. I just have to understand enough to have the conversations at work. So that's been my journey. I also recently started working on a startup, and so just figuring. I'm exploring, and one thing I wanted to share, my mom encouraged me to share too, is just that idea of one of the things you mentioned, which is just as homeschoolers, we got to try doing a bunch of different things. We weren't ever just doing one thing, and if you weren't interested in your coursework, you could also explore other interests, sports, chess. I did a lot of like debate and Bible quizzing and all of that. So I'm working on a startup that's a personal finance app to teach personal finance skills for young adults who recently started their first job, so people who have an income.
I love that.
And old people.
Yes.
Right,
well.
for all people. That's
Shout out Opto Financial. Take a look.
I love that.
Right.
It reminds me of a story of my teenage daughter. She's a junior Olympic gymnast at the time, and she was just following the track of kinesiology. She said she kind of wanted to be a physical therapist. She had sprained her ankle, and I was like, oh, great. I'm saying, oh, great, you sprained your ankle, because I wanted her to interview the physical therapist. She had spent a week with him. I was like, ask him questions. Find out where he went to school, what he loved about it. She was quiet all week. Gets to Friday, okay? My kid gets to Friday, and she says, Ma, that guy touched my feet all week. I do not want to be a physical therapist. And there it was, poof, it was gone. Parents, get ready for the poof. Let me see you. I want you to be okay, so I want you to practice. Practice with me. Go, poof. And just like he said, it's okay. It's okay for you to look into some things that maybe you think that your child wants to do, and they changed their mind. Right? It's okay. It's okay to say, hey, I'm on my way to college, and guess what? This is not for me. Right? I want to do music, or I want to go to public school, and I've changed my mind. And I think that that's the kind of opportunities that homeschooling gives us, is to be able to have a unique way to look at the education of your child. Right? Independent education, and that's the unique. Everybody's not getting the same English, math, science, history, foreign language classes. Right? Your kid has the ability, and and if there's any coin word, and I'm on podcasts talking about this, is what I call unique electives. When my son wanted to do carpentry, I called it construction management. When my daughter wanted to plant strawberries, I called it botany, right? When my other daughter wanted to paint, I called it, this is art. So whatever it needs to be okay with the fact that you're growing your child, and there's no one child alike. Tell us a little bit about your end game.
Yes, so I graduated in 2019. I was the salutatorian of my class, and although I did really well in school and excelled at every subject, one of my biggest issues, my biggest flaws, is that I really did not have a sense of direction as far as what I wanted to do with my life. So college was coming up, and I knew, I was expected to go to college because that's just what you do. So I felt like I had to sort of pick something. So I chose to major in music and go to Clayton State because it was just kind of the path of least resistance. And I got there, and I realized that it was not for me at all. I hated doing music theory all day. And it is so hard. It is harder than calculus. People say, when something's not hard, it's not rocket science. But you know what the physics majors who are studying rocket science say? They say it's not music theory, and it's true. Amen. I absolutely hated it, and I actually ended up dropping out of school. And recently, last year, I started doing, January of 2023, or 2024. I started culinary school because I've always had a passion for food. I've always loved to cook and bake. And I've had my own business, Cauthen Confections, as a side gig, and I've sold lots of desserts at different pop-up markets. But I decided that I really wanted to just go all in on the food industry, and that's what I've been doing.
I love that.
Love it. I feel the confidence on this stage of kids who are okay with expressing the things that they want to do. And you can only cultivate that kind of confidence through building relationships with your children. So I love what I'm hearing, and that breeds passion, right? And so people who are passionate, I mean, you're up here with your bird, so cute, okay? I like, want to take you home.
She wouldn't stop talking.
So I want to ask more questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right, so my next question to you, to all four of you is, you figured out what you wanted to do, but you always have what I call stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who matter, different than those who don't matter, right? Stakeholders are the people who are paying the bills. Like I tell my son, tell your academic advisor that your investor wants you to take a different class than the one they suggested.
like
That would be
that.
mom and dad, right? But they're stakeholders.
Yeah,
So you got parents who are stakeholders, and then you have those who are just have their opinion about your homeschooling. How did you handle the balance of what people thought you should have been doing, right? Maybe it's some people from a traditional school who thought maybe you should have done something different. Give us some tips on how people can handle the pressure, of people's opinion, public opinion.
In terms of like our career choices?
Career
Oh,
choices
I love this
and also
question.
you homeschooling, all of that.
Perfect, love this question. So when I was a kid, people would ask what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I kid you not, and if you're a 90s baby, then you'll know the show. But I told them that two things. I wanted to be like Eliza Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries, and wanted to be like Crocodile Hunter, Steve Irwin. And they would laugh, they really would laugh. But I was dead serious. I was serious that that's what I wanted to be. And at 29 years old, I have an RV, because Eliza would travel in an RV around the world, and she would document her life, and she could talk, I can't talk to animals, but she could talk to animals.
You can.
So, I don't have that gift, but I have an RV, and it's decked out to take about 6 of the animals with me. Not only that, but you see I have my animal business, and we're in the process of opening a facility later on this year. So I always tell people, and like myself, it's okay to be different. It's okay to step out of the norm. I love being different, so it never bothered me that people, would laugh or make comments, because I knew in my heart of hearts that I was going to do it. When I was going to do it and how, that was another story. But I knew that it was possible. No one else was doing it. So in my head, if no one's doing it, then there's room for me. Like, why can't I do it? So I never had that issue at all. And I didn't really hang out also with a lot of like public and private schools. I mean, I did because my brothers played sports. But, we just kind of played around and ran around, so we didn't really talk about school. And then the other homeschool people that I worked with always had, they were weird. Like, we were all weird and different, so. And then even, at my age now, people still laugh and chuckle, and when them paychecks come rolling in and they laughing and chuckling, I just say, hey, it's working over here, so.
Laughing all the way to the bank.
Sure
I love
am.
It. My kids used to do sports, and they were at a private Christian school doing sports, and I started seeing them bring backpacks, right? Because, homeschoolers, they got an extra 24 hours a week because they don't have homework at night, right? Because they did their homework during the day. So I was like, why are you taking out backpacks? What's going on? And they were like, oh, Mom, we want to be supportive, because the other students have so much work to do, and on the van on the way back from the game, they're all trying to finish their work and stressed out, and we just want to be supportive, so we pull out our books and read. My kids, my homeschool kids. Isn't that hilarious?
I like that.
So,
Empathetic.
so that's the public opinion, right? They felt like they needed to bring an extra book so they can look busier or whatever it meant, right? So tell us, how did you handle all of it?
Listen, in the words of the significant researcher Elphaba, nobody in all of Oz, no wizard, I'm just kidding, is Oz. I love Wicked so much. I could just sing that musical all day. Actually, guys, let's just sing songs from musicals right now. Okay, yeah. So just the way my ADHD works, I remembered my answer from the other question, but I'm going to try to tell my brain to not talk about that. So I don't know if it's going to work, though. I'm just going to try. This question, oh, yeah. Hear me out, y'all. The people, like, the other day, our daughter, she's 5. I kind of think she might be a theologian one day. We're sitting in the car, and she said to my husband and I that she heard a kid say that Jesus wasn't real. And while that is, first of all, untrue, and then second of all, devastating to hear, I knew that it hit her in a way that didn't necessarily, I hope this comes out correct, but it wasn't so much about her personal belief. I mean, she very much believes Jesus is real, but it was very much the issue that a kid did not believe, if that makes sense. She was devastated that they didn't get it, right? And so I asked her, I said, so instead of necessarily validating her belief and feeling, I know where she stands on what she thinks about Jesus. I asked her, I said, well, how was Jesus treated? And she, I promise I'm not making this up, y'all, but, 5 years old, she gives me the rundown. Well, Mom, it started with the soldiers. And, she gives me the whole rundown, everything that happened to Jesus. And so I'm like, okay, Isabella, well, is Jesus still the king, even though all those people had all those things to say? And she was like, yeah, Mom, because he's Jesus and he's in heaven. And then there's angels. And, she gives me her 3-hour speech on that. And the point that I was trying to make to her is that, we'll never be anywhere near as cool as Jesus. However, simply by being his, people will always have things to say. People will always have opinions. Some people might even throw insults or jabs at you, or take it a step further and want to take you out, right? Like, it's a bummer, but it's called Earth because it's not heaven. So welcome. And I just kind of use that as a way to just let her know, like, whether it is you talking about your faith in front of other kids that feel differently, or whether that's you coloring a picture of a butterfly and a little kid saying that's not a cute picture of a butterfly, it's like we cannot exist to please other people. We cannot exist to honor other people and to be impressive or whatnot. It's simply a part of life. No matter how many people you have in your corner that are cheering you on, there will always be somebody that has something wildly negative to say about you, or about what you think or what you feel or what you're doing with your career, how you're raising your children. If you're a vegetarian, you're gonna have somebody that's like, we are definitely, we're vegan, so sorry you couldn't take the next step. There's like, you can't do enough good stuff for somebody to look at you and be like, you're not doing enough. Like, it's like, I remember for the longest time, it was like a whole natural hair thing, and it's like, I'm too scared to tell people that I bought a flat iron from TJ Maxx. They're gonna think I don't know Jesus anymore, right? And now I'm like, guys, look, it's locked. I promise, I'm one of us. Like, it's no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody. And I know I'm not speaking specifically to homeschooling, but it's so much more than homeschooling for me. It's like, when I tell people I'm a musician, they're like, you should have gone to college. I'm like, well, I did. And they're like, oh, but was it an HBCU? Like, oh, it was a Bible college. There's always going to be something. I'm like, listen, Buki, Jesus totally loves this hot mess over here. So I'm good. And I'll probably cry about this conversation in therapy later. But, again, don't know how to end sentences. So I just slowly
I love her. Thank you, Jamie.
Love that.
That's awesome. I don't know how to talk in sentences, so I bring the mic away. That's good. I love that. All right, so we want to hear from you.
Yeah, so I'm happy to share. So I guess I went the more traditional route in a lot of ways. But I did still feel like there were periods of my life where I realized that I needed to chart my own path and just not worry about what anybody else thought. And I think the biggest thing that I realized was, it's my life. I only have one life to live. Other people may have opinions, but they're not that worried about me. They may think about me here and there and you know, make a comment, but it's really me who's living with the results of my decisions. One example for me actually is when I went off to college, I ended up having a bit of a crisis of faith. I realized I grew up in a bubble. I went to a liberal arts school in the Northeast, and a lot of people held different opinions and different beliefs, and I realized I actually didn't, I believed what I believed about Christianity largely because it came from my parents and my community, and I hadn't really built that faith myself. So I ended up leaving Christianity, and I realized that I couldn't just practice a faith for other people if it wasn't something that I believed myself. And over several years, another like four-year journey, I ended up coming back to Christianity, but actually discovering a relationship with God on my own. Thank you. It's been great, actually. I love Jesus too now. And I am working on a memoir, so to reach out to other people who go through a similar journey as well of leaving faith, because I know a lot of people my age group or generation are doing that. But I think the biggest thing for me was I think that was a great part of my life in the sense that I needed to walk the path that made sense to me, because otherwise I would be resentful if I felt like I was just going down a path that other people told me to go down. And so at the end of the day, it's your life, you know, and so you're the one who has to live with it.
Your turn.
Yes, so I am one of those people where I am a people pleaser at heart. I do not like confrontation. I do not like people to be disappointed in me, and I have had to learn how to change. I've had to learn that the hard way. I dropped out of college when I was at Clayton State, and I did not tell my parents that I had dropped out because I felt like they really wanted me to finish in 4 years and not change my major and just follow this path. And I did not know how to tell them that it was not working for me. And I dropped out. I did not tell them that I was not in school, and they found out. It was a big blow up, and it really took a while for us to rebuild our relationship and for me to earn their trust again. And one of the things that I've realized is that if you do something that you're not supposed to be doing to keep other people happy, eventually it's going to fall apart and you're still going to end up hurting those people anyway. So you really might as well just, go down the path that you're supposed to go down and be honest, because that's really the best way forward.
I love that.
That was good.
Awesome.
That was really good.
Awesome. Well, we have to end here, and so I want to just close with your last quick statement. You got 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Here's the question. Here's the question. There's a question. How do you think your homeschooling shaped who you are today? And what encouragement, what short encouragement would you give?
Skip
You
me,
got
skip,
two-
go.
Okay, we're going to go around. She wants to skip. You're on.
Oh, skip. Oh.
Skip me, go.
Oh, okay. Go.
Tag, you're it.
Tag, you're it. Yes. Boys first.
There you go. I do have something to start, I think. I think basically for me, it really made me very proactive. I think it's funny, when I went off to college, I was already used to managing my own time, to, structuring my days, because my mom was homeschooling 5 kids, all different ages, almost all different ages. So it was like there was no just one set structure, and I think that's again helped me through to today, where it's I'm very proactive and take charge of my own path. And so I think that's something that can be taught to a lot of kids through homeschooling. And of course, some kids need more guidance and hand-holding than others, but it's a great opportunity to learn those skills early.
Awesome. Who's next? Tag, you're it. Tag.
I've been voluntold. I would say that homeschooling, people always are afraid that homeschooling will keep you locked in a bubble, but I think that if done right, it actually broadens you as a person. I've gotten the chance to meet so many different types of people from different age groups, nationalities, people from different, cultural backgrounds, different religions, and I feel like it's actually helped me to be a very open-minded person.
Awesome.
Got you now.
Tag.
Okay. Tap me in. Okay, thank you. All right. It was hard. Homeschooling has taught me how to nurture your passion. Because like you said earlier, because you are on your own schedule, we were able to shadow other businesses. So like if you wanted to be a painter, then you go shadow someone who painted. Like if you want to be a carpenter, you could shadow there because you were on your own schedule. And so I think that really helped me learn and be okay with being different. And a lot of people don't follow their passions anymore. They just kind of do what makes sense and what makes the most money. And it's okay if what you love doesn't make a ton of money, as long as you're able to take care of yourself and your family and things of that nature. Being happy, to me, is a lot more important than being stressed and rich. That was what I would tell myself.
I would just say, kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier, what did you think that you were missing out on? The social aspect of young adulthood is something that is constantly talked about, and not to be, a nerd and, prayerful future therapist, but it is what it is. Like everyone's struggling, and teenagers, no matter what environment they're in, are going to deal with things because, in the Bible where it's like, hey, take heart, I've overcome the world. The first part of that is, in this world you will have trouble. So unless you're not in this world, so no matter if you're homeschooled or not, you're gonna have trouble, right? It is what it is. And the reason why I say that is because when you're with your family, if you have the incredible privilege, please vibe with the word privilege, because it's a privilege to homeschool. If you have the privilege to homeschool, you now have set yourself up to be able to walk through these troubles, walk through these challenges, and walk through these difficulties in a unique, more intimate way than other people have the privilege to do so. And so I just graciously and respectfully say, own whatever privilege that makes sense for you, right? If we don't think homeschooling's a privilege, we probably shouldn't be here, but it is a privilege, it's a gift, and let's own that. Love Jesus, go to therapy, eat more chicken.
Awesome. Won't you stand to your feet? Come on, guys, stand up. I want you guys to see the end game. Let's give all these guys a hand. Exciting. You could do better than that. This is kind of the future of homeschooling. We are so grateful for all four of you and all of your sharing, your honesty and your candidness and sharing. We are so very grateful. So let's give them a hand as I have Elon come on back, or Michelle.